from New York, this is Monday, December 13th, 694 days until the 2012 presidential election. And today, the non-triumph of bipartisanship as misguided would-be champions of the middle class joined the eternally phony deficit hawks. In our fifth story, they agreed to extend all the Bush tax cuts, including those for the richest of the rich, for 2 years, at which point most will have been in place for 12 years and become virtually immovable objects. The Senate today overwhelmingly voting for cloture on the tax cut deal between the president and Republican leaders. 83 yes votes. That procedural vote, a clear forerunner of support for the actual bill. The Middle Class Tax Relief Act, co-sponsored by Majority Leader Harry Reid and Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. After the vote, President Obama touted the bill's strong bipartisan support and said he shared some of the concerns of the bill's critics.
But that's the nature of compromise. Sacrificing something that each of us cares about to move forward on what matters to all of us. Right now, that's growing the economy and creating jobs. So, I urge the House of Representatives to act quickly on this important matter.
The $858 billion tax package includes, of course, only a 13-month extension of unemployment benefits, as well as a truckload of so-called tax extenders and tax credit goodies, with Senator Ethanol Subsidy himself, Chuck Grassley, defending his pet subsidy by citing some of the other ones in the bill.
Well, let me tell you about some of the subsidies that are in this bill, because you might think that ethanol is the only one of them. Think about the Indian employment tax credit, the subsidy for new market tax credits, the subsidy for railroad track maintenance credit, the subsidy for the 7-year recovery period for motorsports entertainment complexes.
Meantime, the lead negotiator for House Democrats, Chris Van Hollen, says that the bill will not ultimately be held up.
Most of us understand we got to make some tough compromises. Most of us agree with almost all of what the president negotiated. There is one thing that just was the choking point, and that deals with the estate tax break. I am confident that when we get to January, there will be no tax increases on the middle-income Americans, and certainly that portion of the president's deal with respect to the top rate earners.
But let us not forget how this will be different 2 years from now, especially for Republicans. White House economic advisor Austin Goolsbee.
In 2012, that's not going to be the circumstance. In 2012, I believe they will have to stand up and defend on their own merits that they think these high-income tax cuts work. And they will not be able to do that because they don't.
So what about them not working now? And from the president, newfound confidence over what he will do, quoting, "I can confidently say that, and I haven't made an announcement, but if I ran for re-election, I can confidently say that I would not extend the Bush tax cuts for the well-to-do beyond this 2-year deal. I can confidently say that." Meantime, the latest phony crop of so-called deficit hawks, the Tea Partiers, either endorsing or disingenuously opposing this deal. From Dick Armey's AstroTurfing Freedom Works, it supports the $858 billion bill because it represents, quote, an opportunity to avert the coming tax disaster, end quote. You know, the disaster in which the taxes of millionaires and billionaires might be taxed. But the Tea Party Patriot cite conservative radio host Hugh Hewitt, saying that the deal, quote, spends billions and billions of dollars that the country does not have in order to prevent a tax hike that the country voted against. Translation, they like the Bush tax cuts, but not the Obama tax cuts, and they hate unemployment insurance extension. And by the way, the country did not vote against tax hikes for millionaires. So who did actually vote against this mess? The 15 nays included Republican Senators John Ensign, Tom Coburn, George Voinovich, and Jim DeMint. Democrats who stood against the bill included Senator Russ Feingold, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Senator Patrick Leahy, Senator Mark Udall, Senator Sherrod Brown, and the independent Senator Bernie Sanders, who in the greatest of ironies will, after his 8.5-hour virtual filibuster last Friday, now join me for a 4-minute interview. Thank you for your time tonight, Senator.
Good to be with you, Keith.
More or less every one of my viewers asked me to extend their thanks and congratulations to you for what you did for this country on Friday. But the caveat to that is, why were you the only one speaking that way?
Well, I was joined by a couple of others very briefly, but I think we have a problem. And the problem is the Democrats are going to have to show more courage. The president is going to have to show some courage in rallying the American people and changing the narrative. Keith, it's not just that this is a bad bill in terms of what it does to the middle class and the benefits it provides to the very wealthy. We are developing a narrative right now which says that despite the fact that the Democrats control the White House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate, the Democrats are on the defensive and the Republicans are on the offensive. And 2 years from now, after the debate begins, and we talk about extending these tax breaks for the rich even more, when we talk about another payroll tax holiday, which means that billions more will not be coming in to Social Security, you're going to talk about more compromises, which says, hey, we didn't cut Social Security by 20%, we only cut it by 10%. Aren't we doing well? I think we have to change that dynamic.
Right now, practically speaking, with these tax cuts for the middle class connected at the hip to tax cuts for the wealthy, what other options are there right now? Are there any? Is there any way to kill the tax cuts for the rich without killing them for the middle class?
At this particular moment?
Yeah.
Well, unless the Democrats in the House pull off some kind of miracle, I don't see that that is likely. And my fear is just what you said earlier in the show. 2 years from now, I can't conceive that these tax breaks will not be extended. And furthermore, as this deficit goes up and as the national debt goes up, trust me, the Republicans will come back and say, we want cuts in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education, environmental protection, and we're going to consistently be on the defensive unless we take the case to the American people, we get them to stand up and put pressure on Republicans rather than us always being on the receiving end of this.
The next time unemployment insurance benefits come up for extension in 13 months, Democrats will have to give up what, do you suppose?
Well, I'll tell you, with the Republicans, remember, these concessions, Keith, took place right now with the Democrats controlling 3 branches. What do you think happens next time? The Republicans apparently do not see the word concession within their lexicon. That's not what they do. So I think unless the American people begin to stand up and really demand that the Congress protect ordinary people rather than the very wealthy, we're going to continue to be on the defensive.
Why was there this rush ultimately to call all of this that was done today not only a middle-class protection bill, but a bipartisan effort? What was that all about? You know the political theater about it better than the rest of us.
Well, I mean, I think what the president is moving forward towards is more, quote-unquote, bipartisan activity. If you looked at that deficit reduction commission, Alan Simpson and there's a lot of bad stuff in there. And I am very nervous that unless we, really get moving aggressively, raising the retirement age of Social Security, cutting Social Security benefits, cutting back on education, etc., that is going to be the mantra for deficit reduction rather than progressive taxation, doing away with corporate tax loopholes, going after excessive military spending. I'm afraid we're going to be on the defensive, and that is what concerns me about this bill. Not only was it not a good bill, it sets the tone for more and more retreat in the coming 2 years. Our job and the president's job, go out to the American people, rally them, ask them, how many people want to see substantial cuts in Social Security? How many people want to see more tax breaks for the rich and cutbacks in education? That's the approach that we have got to take, I think.
And unless that's done, everybody will see those things and then say we don't want them, and it will be too late to do anything about it. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, again, great thanks for your time tonight, and it was an extraordinary thing to watch on Friday. Thank you for upholding democracy.
Thank you very much, Keith.